Welcome to Action Callers. You're on the right station if you're tired of just hearing complaints without a commitment to find a solution. Today, our community change makers are Dabney Day, president of Sacramento CHAD. And CHAD is focused on supporting children, parents, and adults, mental health practitioners, educators, and the general public about the complex issues surrounding attention deficit disorder. And also, we're very fortunate to have with us today Susan Thorpe, who was one of the co-founders of CHAD, and she's right here with us right now. And this issue we are exploring today is controversial with many viewpoints. Recently, Hillary Clinton was even quoted in the news about her point of view on this matter. Our guest today may have a different point of view that you or Ms. Clinton may hold. So, are you open to generously listening to the ideas of others? That is what this program is committed to, exploring all sides of an issue. Actually, you can call if you disagree with the guest on their topic, or you can call to change the topic altogether if you have an issue that you find yourself complaining about to everyone around you. Our Changemaker guests are also here to support you in your concern about your community. So, if you're willing to be coached by our community changemakers to turn your complaint into a solution, give us a call at 916-456-5199. Again, I'll give you the number, and get your pencil and paper because there might be other important things that you might want to write down that you hear on this show. So our phone number is 916-456-5199, and call us right now and get ready to be on the air. I am your host and action coach, Dr. Reva Camiel, a psychotherapist in private practice in Sacramento. We are so fortunate to have two compassionate people who have worked for years to develop programs and support the people who are struggling with something that has only recently been given a name, and where medical and social skills training has begun its pioneering work. For those of you with us for the first time, Action Callers is committed to bringing change makers, people who have seen problems to be solved in our communities and have taken action to alleviate those problems. These change makers come on this program to coach others to take their first, second, or third step to make an impact on issues that bother them. Please share your concerns, complaint, or idea with me and the change makers on this show. You will find you are not alone. We will support you in taking your first step in turning your complaint into an action that might impact that problem. I urge you to call right now and share your ideas and concerns with today's changemakers, Dabney Day and Susan Thorpe. Get out your pencils and paper and call 916-456-5199 and let us support you. Call with projects that you're excited about. You can be part of the solution rather than being part of the problem. Call us now at our open line at 916-456-5199. Susan, would you please tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became the founder of such a vibrant organization?
Yes, Reva, I'd be happy to.
Yes,
It's
go ahead.
amazing that I've been, that I'm able to be here today. For one thing, I am not one of the persons that would be voted the best speaker.
Well, I tell you, it takes a lot of courage to be here and facing this microphone. So thanks so much, Susan, for being here. So tell us, how did you, begin to get CHAD going?
Actually, my doctor, James Margolis, who is here in Sacramento, was instrumental in suggesting that I help start a support group. And during that conversation, I was thinking of a dear friend of mine in Roseville, Diane Contos, who had just mentioned to me earlier in the week that she would love to get together with other moms and dads and discuss how we can help our children. So really, from that suggestion that Dr. Margolis gave me, I did ask her if she's still interested, and we did meet. Coincidentally, Dr. Ted Hoffman from Charter Hospital was going to give a seminar that same week in Roseville, and we thought we would attend it. And while doing that, we were able to speak with him afterward, and the school psychologist from Roseville, Mary Doughton, at the time, was also present. So we put our heads together at the end of the session.
What, he gave a speech on attention deficit disorder?
Yes, he did.
Uh-huh.
It was a very wonderful,
That's
comprehensive and
Ted
heartwarming.
Hoffman, the
Yes,
psychiatrist?
Dr.
Uh-huh.
Ted Hoffman.
Mhm.
And so the four of us planned a meeting at my home in June, and we invited several others, Barbara Sorrento, Mary Doughton, Fran Adams, and several other parents that were from Auburn area, Ginny McGrath, and
You don't want to leave out any of
a
those
few
people.
others. I'm
do you?
hoping if I
They're all
don't leave
parts.
anybody out, please forgive me. But
Yeah, people do need their due and should get heard, find out who the good people are who are doing things to make a difference in our community, and you have made a difference.
thank you. Actually, every one of us, I feel, is that circle of a volunteer, or the heart of an organization really is every single individual, not just one person. This is a job that everyone can make a difference. And I was just amazed when we did seek other volunteers that they would come forward and
How many people did you
participate.
have at your first meeting?
There were approximately 70 people at our
Wow.
first meeting, which we were just very, very thrilled. And actually, there has not been anything under that that I've experienced in our meetings since that time.
Well, great.
So,
Well, let me introduce Dabney so people can get to know her voice too. And I'd like you to meet Dabney Day, who is now the current president of CHAD. And so what brought you into CHAD and made you kind of work probably up the ranks to become president? What motivated you?
Well, I've been an educator for 36 years. And,
Lots of educators never get up and get a whole organization started.
well, I didn't get it started. That was Susan. But in working with youngsters, I always have a heart for the children that have more problems. And so I just, long before there were special ed credentials, I was working with the children that had a harder time. And I myself had a harder time in my early learning years at school, so I felt like I really understood the kinds of things they needed. And as the years went on, and I was in special ed at the time, we had children at that time in the late 70s that were called hyperactive, and so they were on Ritalin, and we were told they were going to outgrow it as they got to adolescent years. And my husband and I had been married quite a while when we adopted our first son, and then 8.5 years later, our second son. And during those years, I worked as a reading specialist and then back to a kindergarten when I got our second son, so that I was working half-time to be off with him because we thought he was a very strong-willed child.
The strong-willed is a nice way of saying
We
gave
didn't
you
know
challenges.
at that time, but I tutor privately in my home, and most of the youngsters, of course, have learning needs or ones that aren't getting special services but still having difficulty keeping up. And so I started going to the CHAD meetings to understand now what they were calling ADD better, and helping some of my parents getting their children diagnosed. And one day, one of my parents who was driving my child home when she brought her son for tutoring said to me, "Dabney, I think you ought to check this checklist and see about your son Josh." And of course, we found out he had it and got him diagnosed in the 5th grade and changed schools. They'd had it with him by then. He was very capable. in every way, but he bugged the teachers to death.
So he behaved pretty well. He didn't hit or do any of those things.
He very strong academically, socially, music, and sports. Just drove adults crazy.
Adults crazy. Huh?
But I moved into a private school that had a lot of sports, and he started on Ritalin at that time, and I had moved him to different schools during that time to find teachers who the psychologist just had told me had a little structure with grace.
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew it was time to move again, and my teacher friends that had him said, we know he's gifted, but I guess you don't test those kind of gifts that he has. Well, once he was on Ritalin, he tested gifted, and in 8th grade he tested into Jesuit, and he graduated from Jesuit and has a full 5-year scholarship going to the University of New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
But we've had a real roller coaster life with
Roller
the
coaster,
ADD. Yeah, it's had lots.
Did you have to change medications occasionally?
We had to do just some adjustments. The school he went to, St. Mark's Lutheran, was wonderful. They went on camp trips and what have you, and they had some other ADD children, and the principal had the teachers in serviced on ADD and went to conferences himself, and so there were other ones there, and I went, no way can he go camping.
Let me ask you this.
Without his medication, and so we took some time-release medication to help extend the time so they weren't killing each other in the middle of the night in the tents.
I was thinking about there may be some people who are listening in who maybe heard the letters ADD, and they may have heard of ADHD, and they may have heard of hyperactivity. So what exactly, and what would you exactly, how would you define an ADD kid or an ADD adult? And those of you who have some questions like I have, give a call to 916-456-5199.
Well, attention deficit disorder, and I'm going to only explain it in layman's terms or how teachers or parents might see it, not being qualified or a medical person to do that. It is now being called ADHD because we've discovered there's different types of characteristics. The son I just spoke about was very active, but not hyperactive, but very impulsive.
Impulsivity is a big thing. And
a big part, and it affects the frontal lobe of the brain. I myself am the passive type and get over-focused. And my husband,
By over-focus, you mean what?
Well, I get going on a project or something I'm supposed to do, and I have difficulty stopping that and moving to the next thing. And so I take 2 medications, to the Ritalin and the other.
Another? Is that?
I take Prozac. The over-focus stuff type affects the conjugal system, which is
you said you weren't going to talk like a doctor. What's that word?
The brain.
What is that?
I read it in a book.
You even pronounced it well.
ADD, basically everyone that has ADD, it's the frontal lobe of the brain that's affected, and it's a chemical imbalance, and that's where impulse control and a lot of the things that help us focus takes place. And the problem is the chemical is imbalanced. And as a teacher over the years, I used to say inconsistent behavior. Sometimes they were on task and sometimes they weren't. Well, that's what's happening in the brain. And the reason to take medication like Ritalin or Adderall
or
Dexedrine is to help keep that chemical imbalance. And they're recognizing now youngsters as young as 3 years old with that chemical imbalance. And the thing that the research is showing, that our national organization in Washington, D.C. and around the country, is that Ritalin only works on the part of the brain that isn't functioning. So if someone who doesn't need it takes it, it's not going to have any effect on them.
Yeah. Well, I tried not Ritalin, but I tried one of the other ones. What was it? Adderall for myself, because I think I'm a little bit ADD, and maybe on a scale of 1 to 10, maybe like a 4. something like that. And I kind of have a feel for what it's like to be ADD. And
Well, Adderall has a lot of advantages because it
what I-
lasts 6 to 9 hours in your
yeah.
system.
Well, what happened for me, I tried it, and what it did, what made me hyper, and it was felt like I was amped. And so I quickly got off of it. And I did talk to Dr. Clopton about it when he was here on our show, and he said maybe smaller dosage more often or something like that, or to try a different medication. I think Susan has something she'd like to put in right now.
Okay.
I just wanted to add that ADD by itself is very rare. Approximately 1/3 of the population of those persons that have attention deficit disorder have it by itself, and the majority, 2/3 or more of the people, have it with another coexisting condition, which they call comorbidity.
I hate that word.
It does sound rather morbid, as
Morbid,
it says.
yes.
But that's why I like to say coexisting. It's
Yeah,
a little,
I like that. Mm-hmm.
And if you can envision a spectrum of colors in a circle, this might help give you a picture of what this is like. Oftentimes when I'm doing lectures or explaining to someone, even one-to-one, I will draw concentric circles on a paper and showing how they are overlapping. Some people may have learning disabilities along with anxiety or depression, and they tend to be in clusters of different components that are similar.
I mean, some people have. I mean, they're all alike, or they're
everyone is totally
has a
different. And that's what makes it so difficult, because some person may say, well, I don't have that component, so he must not have ADD. And yet, in my family's case, for example, we have quite a spectrum of different conditions. My oldest son, who's now 19, he's going to be graduating this year, so we're very excited. And he's come a long way, and we're just so happy for him. We were very fortunate that we have found and had resources here in the Sacramento and Roseville area that were willing to work as a team with families, because this is such an important aspect. All of us have something to contribute toward the treatment of our family members, or
ourselves.
Yes, ourselves. And it's so important to kind of tune into what you know about that person, or what you know about yourself, to be able to help. And for example, with CHAD being a nationwide, or actually a worldwide organization, we'd have
what do you have?
I know.
You lost that word.
I did. I have an aphasia problem
moments?
too. Yes.
Aphasia,
well, I've had a senior moment ever since I was born, and
Me too.
I guess they used to call it aphasia, and now they call it expressive language delay. But whatever, that's my ADD showing up readily.
So, could we say ADD is probably hereditary?
The majority of people do find a genetic component to this, and we also find the coexisting conditions genetically linked. For example, Dr. Cummings wrote a book called Tourette's Syndrome and Human Behavior, and I find this one of the most valuable sources to see the complexity of what else may be found with ADD.
Yeah, let me just mention our phone number again, and give us a call at 916-456-5199. We'd love to hear from you, and any of your questions that you have about ADD, ADHD, whatever you want to call it, hyperactivity, a bad kid, an acting out kid, whatever you say about your kid, that may fall into this area of attention deficit disorder. So give us a call.
Getting back to the coexisting conditions, I remember my friend Diane Contos, who originally had talked about her family members and having different... I think we have to pause for a moment, so I'll continue in a few minutes.
This is the voice Join me, Dave Lyons, every Saturday from 2 to 4 p.m. as we rock the airwaves with great music like Foo Fighters, Deftones, and Hanson on The Voice. Every Saturday from 2 to 4 p.m. That's basically about it. I mean, it's nothing big.
Sure it is. It's Kids Radio, every Saturday from 2 until 4 p.m. on Sacramento's Voice.
Hi, I'm Isaac Vidalis, host of the Center of the Universe. Diverse Electronic Drive, your electronic-based station, frequency violation, Saturdays from 8 to 10 p.m. System of Industrial, the original chemistry post with your host, Isaac Vidalis. You'll never guess what's on the technology pick of the week, where I'll speak of a DJ's choice on the voice of equipment and value, and educate you, without a doubt, first about electronic music, the center of the universe.
McGruff here at the airport with some travel tips. Pardon me, sir.
Say, aren't you...
The crime dog.
Yes, I recognize the pause.
Is that your wallet in your hip pocket?
Uh-huh.
No good. Pickpockets love hip pockets.
Oh.
Put it in your front pocket or briefcase.
Oh, yeah, sure, really.
And hang on to that laptop computer. Put it down and someone else can pick it up.
Hey, you know, you're full of good advice, McGruff.
Just remember it. Put your wallet in a safe place, watch your bags and valuables, and you'll be helping take a bite out of crime. A public service message from the U.S. Department of Justice, the Crime Prevention Coalition, and the Ad Council.
Welcome to the Young Executives Outdoor Survival Course. I'm Bob, your instructor.
Hi, Bob.
First off, can anyone tell me the proper way to put out this campfire?
Ooh, assemble a committee with all key department heads?
Let's get research involved.
Don't forget legal.
Hold on, folks. To put out a campfire, all you have to do is pour water on it, like this.
Oh.
Then stir it and cover it with dirt. Now, isn't that easy?
Committee?
Well, maybe. I say yes.
Let's vote on it.
A message from the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Advertising Council.
Empower your inner champion. Here is today's mind tool from Dr. Reva Camiel, a marriage family therapist in Sacramento.
This suggestion may sound strange, but when you're afraid of doing something new, Susan Jeffrey in her book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, says, the doing it comes before the feeling better about yourself.
We're talking with Bill Cerruti of Sacramento's Italian Cultural Society. Bill, so many Italian things are popular now. Italian clothes, Italian food, movies. How can we find out more about Italian things?
Easy. Join the nonprofit Italian Cultural Society. We sponsored Italian lending library, Italian language classes, Italian films, and numerous Italian-style social events, even a big Italian festa. We also underwrite an Italian-American youth group, Italian singing and dancing groups, the radio program, Sacramento Italian Style, and a newsletter called Altre Voci.
Do you have to be of Italian ancestry to join?
No, just enjoy things Italian.
How can you find out more about the Italian Cultural Society?
Call our hotline. Leave your name and phone number and we'll have someone get back to you. Call Italy 00, that's ITALY 00, or if you prefer numbers, 482-5900.
Grazie.
Prego.
Community Radio for Sacramento, The Voice.
And welcome back to Action Callers. And I'm Dr. Reva Camiel, and I have here as guest Dabney Day, who is the current president of CHAD, a nationwide organization for attention deficit disorder, and she's the local chapter president. And we also have with us Susan Thorpe, who is one of the co-founders of the Sacramento CHAD. And so they are full of information about attention deficit disorder, and you can call them and ask some questions and talk to me. Also, I work with people with ADD and have a little myself, and there's some wonderful resources out in the community, and you can call us here. We're going to be a wonderful resource here at 916-456-5199, and you can also, when the program is over, or even after my second show at 7 o'clock, at 8 o'clock, you could tune into your computer and go on the internet and look up CHADD. And if you do that, you'll come across all kinds of articles and things about attention deficit disorder, probably the most current information. And Dabney has something to say to us about information.
The website for CHAD is www.chadd.org.
Yeah, I found that you can just put CHAD and it comes right up.
It comes right out.
Yeah, so could you tell us a little bit about why the organization is important for people to attend, why the meetings are so important?
Well, I tell parents all the time that we're still in the pioneer stage with attention deficit disorder. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and our schools and our medical people are still learning about it as research is going on. And so lots of times we're in situations where no one seems to understand our children
and our adults
and but we know they're okay. We just need to get the things that they need to be the best they can be. And so with CHAD, it was formed by parents who were trying to get the best for themselves and their children, and it is a support group. We meet the first Tuesday of each month from September to May. And we have books and tapes to sell and videos, and we always have a speaker.
And you also have a free lending library, don't you?
We have a...
Yeah, with wonderful books and tapes.
Non-members, it's $5 donation, but we encourage people to join because that's the best way all of us have gotten educated. Our national organizations in Washington, D.C.
They have a wonderful magazine that comes out. This last edition is just tremendous with the latest.
When you join, if you're a student, it's $35 a year. As a family or single person, it's $45, and healthcare professionals are $75, and organizations can join too. You're going to get our Attention magazine that comes out regularly, and there's a new focus this year. It is a nonprofit organization, and it's working to improve the lives of people with ADHD through education, advocacy, and support. The advocacy is a new component in that we are now have a person called the Van Rep who is being trained as a volunteer lobbyist to get connected more with our government, and people are especially excited here in Sacramento because we know the laws are there to help us and get that support through in that area. And so with the magazine, you're going to know about current research, current treatments, current legislation going on. And so you'll be getting other professional fact sheets and materials
I'd like to say
from
something
there.
About the advocacy.
Yes.
I have a client who's the whole family has been coming in for family counseling about their child, and several of the members of the family are all ADHD. And so we've been doing a big group, and so they're all getting educated. They're all becoming advocates. They went to their IEP, which is that kind of an evaluation session at school, and they put up a great argument for keeping their kid in school, and they knew the laws and they knew what was supposed to happen, and the vice principal needed to change some of his actions, having people who were knowing what's going on, and they were helped very much by one of the CHAD advocates. And so CHAD is wonderful. You can call us at 456-5199, and we really would love to hear from you and your questions and your concerns, and then we'll have Dabney tell us a little bit more about what CHAD organization does.
The Voice is 88.7 cable FM and KYDS 91.5 FM Sacramento.
Okay, and so continue on with the chat organization, Dabney. Did you have some more?
Yes, we have Sacramento County. Nancy Williams was on a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm, she was on the program.
Mm-hmm. And the county is now providing advocates for families for their IEPs or their student study teams to help them understand and to help everyone involved know the law that's gone through IDEA, and that that ADHD children do qualify for services. If they don't test with learning disabilities, they still can get services.
Yeah, there was something called 405.
504 form, and that can be their plan to help them get the accommodations they need. It might be sitting up closer in class. It might be a homework buddy to make sure they get their homework assignments down and home accurately, or can call them later for help. There's a lot of different accommodations that each child may need to have. Also, we have the Learning Disability Area Board 3, Michael Rosenberg and Lynn Castellucci. That's through the State Department, and they do advocacy for families and help them get their child's needs met. Yes, in whatever situation they're in.
If any of you have any questions that you want to give to Dabney, you could actually we have an email site, and it's actioncallers at hotmail.com. So, if you have some questions, I can get those to her. And if you have those questions, call us right now at 916-456-5199. And I'd like to say something about the accommodations. People in work, adults who have attention deficit disorder, are also under the law, I believe, can get accommodations. And the same kinds of things. Some people, I had one client who was really falling apart at work, couldn't listen. He needed to move his chair. He needed to be in a place where he wasn't distracted. And as a counselor and part of the team that got put together for him, he's been able to stay on the job, get a little bit of a different job. And I was able to talk with the HR person, the human resources person there. And things can be done if you get a team together of counselors, the advocates, your doctor, your therapist, whoever. Get them together.
All of disabilities fall under the American Disability Act, and if you are identified attention deficit disorder and there's problems on your job that aren't accommodating your attention deficit or whatever disability, you can get protection with that. One of my students had that problem, and he got the psychiatrist to write a letter to say he was diagnosed, and the boss was putting him in a situation where attention to detail was very difficult, and he said he knew that would be difficult. And this is a large, well-known banking organization, and they reestablished him in that position if he wanted it, or mailed him job openings for the next 6 months. And he, even though they had fired him, that is not on his record at all. So it's important that you understand that there is protection. And I need to say something. We had a supervisor from a different loaning organization who had an ADD person, and she has ADD children, and so she was very sensitive to helping him. And then it almost became that the business was over accommodating the ADD person. So, they're being concerned about both sides. ADD people who know they need their medication, they need to be responsible and take their medication.
Except one of the symptoms of ADD is forgetting. And so forgetting to take medications is a very important thing. And again, give us a call at 916-456-5199. We do want to hear from you.
Well, accommodations are important in terms of remembering the medication, too.
To learn how to remember.
And in our electronic world today, we've got watches. I know a lot of adults that set their watches to the alarm goes off when it's time to take the medication, or they take their medication at certain times, at lunchtime, at their break time, so that they have cues to remind them. So there's ways that they can accommodate.
They have to be actually trained because they've gone a whole lifetime without doing these things. And I found a lot of ADD people hate to make lists.
Yep.
And they hate to write it down. Some of the ADD people hate to write things down, and then there's another group of them after they do write things down, but they forget to look at what they've written.
Or they lose the notes. And that is a problem because fine motor is often a big problem for attention deficit disorder people from childhood on, and so it takes time to do that and keep track of it. So there are calculators that you can carry.
Yes, I heard about a watch. I think maybe Casio has a watch that says, "Take your pill now."
Right.
And tells you a few other things to do.
We're excited to see the news media being so interested in getting accurate facts for attention deficit disorder. It seems like things have kind of just exploded for adults, and it was some news media people that had adult workers who they didn't care to work with very well, and then they got diagnosed attention deficit disorder and on medication, and they're now good buddies, and they begin to realize how many adults are out there that maybe don't even know they have it. And when that was on Channel 13, we had from 20 to 50 phone calls a day, and they'd be adults going, "I think I have it, what do I do now?"
Yeah, it looks like Susan has something here that she'd like to say.
I was also noticing some of the books out that, and some biographies in particular. Danielle Steele is a writer who has just, she came out with a book, I believe, a year ago about her son having bipolar and being, I finally read it just recently, even though I've had it for a while.
Bipolar is the new name for
manic depressive.
Manic depressive,
And so often in the past, bipolar has been something that's been diagnosed mainly as an adult and not recognized in younger children or adolescents even. I was talking earlier about the coexisting conditions, and with our family, it was such a critical issue to recognize the bipolar component of my oldest son, because it makes a tremendous difference in the type of medications that would be able to help that individual to the max. Depakote and Tegretol are some that are very effective in.
Where do they find they use the Depakote and Tegretol that you know
of? Traditionally, it's been a seizure disorder, but it's also very effective. In fact, several of the doctors at the national conference were talking about it being used very effectively, Depakote in particular, for bipolar. And we found this to be the case with our son. And if it hadn't been an early recognition, I could really relate to Danielle Steele's account of her son going through as long as 15 years old before they recognized his actual problem.
Okay, we're going to need to take a little break, and so give us a call during the break at 456-5199, and we'll be back with you in a few moments.
You're listening to 91.5 The Voice.
Okay, and lights, camera, and action! Grab your hot buttered popcorn and get ready to enjoy the show. You're invited to take a front row seat with host Dave Fox on The Movie Score Weekly. Each and every week, Dave Fox brings you all your favorite music straight from the big screen. Listen as Dave goes behind the scenes to keep you informed on all your favorite movie composers, film release dates, and so much more. The Movie Score Weekly even features some of the rarest soundtracks in the music business, all in pure stereo. So join the fun each Thursday night starting at 8 and rebroadcast at 8 a.m. Friday mornings. You'll want to catch all the action. Don't miss The Movie Score Weekly.
We didn't want a professional announcer for this message. That would have taken a big casting session with people driving from all over to get here, adding to the pollution. And if our ad isn't kind to the earth, how can we ask you to be? Use cloth shopping bags. Buy recycled paper products. Sure, my voice isn't so hot, but what's more important, a better ad or a better earth? For more ways to help, call EarthShare, 1-800-488-8887.
Empower your inner champion. Here is today's mind tool from Dr. Reva Camiel, a marriage family therapist in Sacramento.
This suggestion may sound strange, but when you're afraid of doing something new, Susan Jeffrey in her book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, says, the doing it comes before the feeling better about yourself.
You're listening to The Voice.
Okay, we're back on Action Callers, and I want to introduce myself and our guests. I'm Reva Camiel, a therapist here in Sacramento, and with me I have Dabney Day, who is an educator and also a parent of ADD, and she's the current president of CHAD, the organization that serves people here in Sacramento who are wanting to know more and wanting to be more effective with themselves and with their kids. And also with us is Susan Thorpe, who started CHAD how long ago, Susan?
Oh, this was back in 1989.
1989. Thanks for telling me that. I've been wondering how long it's been here. And please give us a call at 916-456-5199. And you have some real experts here that can give you information that you've always wanted to know, or maybe may give you information you never wanted to know but are grateful to get it. Susan was talking a little bit just before the break about Depakote and Tegretol, and I was working with a psychiatrist who was talking to me about it being very useful in anger control, that it goes to the left temporal lobe where anger is, and he described it as kind of a hot spot on the left temporal lobe. Rather, it's separate from the ADD. But many people with ADD do have that hot spot. And the Tegretol and Depakote seem to work very well. I had an adult woman client who used to be angry a lot, and she, used to get angry at almost anything. And she also had ADD, and the doctor gave her both the Ritalin and the Depakote. I can't remember if it was the Depakote or Tegretol, but she came to the next session after taking it for about a week, and she said, Reva, I really want to get angry. She says, but I can't anymore. She said, it's very different living a different way. She says, I've been so used to living with my anger. And I find that, that was just, part of my brain that was working that way, and that I'm not a bad person.
I can certainly relate to that issue because when I was diagnosed, at the age of 44 with my ADD and the coexisting depression and anxiety. It took me about a year to realize that I had to relearn things that I could do that I once thought I could never do because I was treated with medication. Well, for example, saying yes to coming here and speak. Years past, my anxiety level was so high that I would simply blank out totally. I don't know if a lot of teachers in our district in Roseville has shown a Richard Lavoie workshop, which is excellent portraying that situation where it's called Frustrated, Anxious, and Tension. It's nicknamed Fat City for the acronym of those words. And this really enables the person who's watching to be placed in a position as if they were learning disabled and to see how difficult it is for people who do have this anxiety especially, and how they can't even function and come up with any answer because that overrides all of their knowledge that they have.
Yeah, what I think I've heard in terms of the physiology of the frontal lobe is that when the neurotransmitters, when the person gets scared, like they have to answer a question or something, instead of like in another person, their brain and neurotransmitters move very quickly. But with the ADD person, it depresses them and no thoughts at all can come up. And I've had several situations where I had to give speeches. And I remember one, it was in a big community organization about 25 years ago, and I was speaking for LA City Schools, trying to raise money for something. And I got up and forgot my name. And all I could remember was, are there any questions? And that was my talk, and there were no questions, and so I sat down. I had the notes in front of me, and I couldn't even read the notes. The anxiety was so high at that time. So being here on the radio is a challenge for me, too. It's, you never know when the brain's going to shut down. So, yeah.
I remember one incident when I was in high school in the choir, and I was asked to sing a solo. And I kept saying to myself, I'm so nervous and so nervous. I focused on the negative there, and it just eventually, I remember break down crying because I talked myself into this. And since that time, and with other books like Bernie Siegel's Love, Medicine, and Miracles, that was a book that helped me tremendously when my son was 5 and I was needing something to turn the depression around. Oftentimes, at the age of 5, mothers in particular become extremely depressed. This is something Dr. Phelan addressed in his workshop, and I'll never forget hearing that because it was a relief to know that I wasn't alone. And that's the beauty of support groups, too, and to finding out information. Sometimes you do feel so alone, and just knowing that those feelings are shared by so many.
And if you are ADD yourself as a parent, and you have an ADD kid who is hyperactive, and you're a hyperactive, it can make you really crazy because you barely have control over yourself. And when you have a kid that has ADD, it's really difficult for both the child and yourself. So
that another is another example of where, as a parent, I have found myself to be much better able to interact with the family because having medication now, I'm able to stop and think before I act, and that alleviates a lot of the negative interactions that family members have. If we can just take a moment to pause and then reevaluate how we are going to act, it really makes the world of difference.
Great. Dabney, do you have something that you wanted to add? We're getting kind of close to the end, and please give us a call at 456-5199.
I wanted to let people know that our next meeting will be the first Tuesday in May, which is May 2nd. The doors, it's at 7700 Folsom Boulevard at Sutter Psychiatric Hospital, and the doors open at 6:30.
And it's a lovely hospital and easy to, it's like a home.
Easy to get to, easy to come in and see where to go right away. You can browse around with the books. If you decide to join, you can borrow books, tapes. And at 7, our speaker begins, and they talk about an hour. Now, our last meeting for this school year is community speakers are sharing different things in the community that you might not know about, that you might want to use for yourself, for your family, or your children. And then at 8 o'clock, we break and we go into support groups. And I always tell parents, you know, ADD is one of the best things you can have because you can take medication and get better. And at the support groups, we have professionals with each group. You can join any group that you want to talk to.
Yeah, first they usually have a big group and then break down into smaller groups.
And you can switch to any group even during that time, talk to other parents, find out what doctors they're using. Dr. Capel, our board president, is always there, and he talks on medication usually, and his wife, Cass Brown, on adult ADD. Also, July 15th, we're having a mini conference at Sierra Health Foundation, and I mentioned earlier Michael Rosenberg and Lynn Castellucci from Area Board Learning Disability 3 will be talking about the law, and it's going to be a Saturday and a fun day, and we'll have more flyers out soon.
Great, and you can get in touch with us at 916-456-5199. And if you'd like to get hold of Dabney, or the CHAD number, what is that?
The CHAD phone number is in my home, and it's area code 916-863-1390.
Should I give it one more time?
Area code 916-863-1390. Also, you can write us at P.O. Box 329, Fair Oaks 95628. We always have our meetings on there. We can't always talk to everyone, but you can get the information.
She is a volunteer and works, and so if she doesn't get back to you right away, just know she'll be there.
And if I answer the phone, it's casual. Because we're volunteers and we need more help too. Thanks.
Yeah, so thanks so much, Dabney Day and Susan Thorpe, for being here and giving all your time and energy and creativity to this community. And I know I've gotten lots and lots from those meetings. And at this time, I also want to acknowledge our growing number of volunteers that have so graciously and earnestly committed themselves to bring you this program. First is Steve Baylog, a transportation professional who is learning to keep action callers on the air. And he also is assisted by Michael Geller, who is a workers' comp attorney some of the weeks. And third, our telephone greeter, Diane Matar, who just returned from volunteering her many skills in India. And our newest volunteer is Donna Reynolds, who built and will manage our webpage. And our email site is actioncallers@hotmail.com that she helped us get together. And soon our webpage will be completed and will be up and ready for you, our action listeners. Again, our email address is currently functioning, so write us at actioncallers@hotmail.com. Remember, your voice can be heard on this station, FM 91.5, by telephoning me, Reva Camiel, at 916-456-5199. This is a state-of-the-art program where we will use every form of communication, written or spoken, to become seekers of solutions for the many problems that face our planet. Be part of the solution rather than being a part of the problem. We will use the messes in our life to get semi-well-ordered solutions. Again, thanks so much, Dabney Day and Susan Thorpe, for your ongoing energy towards creating a world that is ongoingly being created by all of us. Thank you all for your support to our community, planet Earth. So, make sure you listen to us next week for more community change makers and more people talking and looking for finding results. And I'd like to mention there's some current events happening in Sacramento that you might enjoy. On April 30th, there's going to be the Festival of the Family, Familia, and it's going to be a joyous celebration, and it's free, and then on Sunday, a month later, on May 20th, in the same place will be